Hey guys, welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is the daily show. We give you all the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Leading off the show today is John Campea.
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, coming to you from right here at the Collider Video Studios here in Burbank, California. And congratulations to the Super Bowl-winning Atlanta Falcons and the Best Picture-winning La La Land.
Also, here's special guest, Michael Rapaport.
Hey!
Thought we were going to be talking about the Oscars. That was a monkey wrench.
Also, here's Jeremy Jahns.
Shout out to the real winners, Moonlight, as the controversy is definitely going to overshadow the winners, but good job, Moonlight. You won. Everyone should know.
Also, here's Mark Ellis.
Thanks to everybody who came to see me at the Comedy Store on Saturday night. Yes, my set was just as scripted as the end of the Oscars.
Also, here is Kristian Harloff.
For the producers of the show last night, they are hiring at Chili's.
Yeah, I mean, look, today it's what else is there to talk about other than the Academy Awards last night, the biggest day of the year in the Oscars. Gotta tell you, I love the show, the gaffes notwithstanding, but before we really get into the Best Picture and what happened with that, the gaffe at the end of the show with the Best Picture was not the biggest mistake of the Oscars last night. For those of you who have not heard, in the In Memoriam segment, they put up the picture of a living woman.
Did they really?
They really did.
Who?
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Now here's what
Which living woman?
it was.
She was a colleague of hers.
Yeah, it was a colleague. What happened was there was an Australian costume designer who had worked on like 4 Academy Award-winning films, and she had passed away this year. They put up her name, and I believe her name was
she passed
Jane.
away in 2015.
Or 2000, but they didn't
Yeah.
include her last
Right,
year, so
right.
they were doing it for
That's
this year.
fine.
Yeah.
So they put up her name and her profession. The problem is, on one of those Oscar-winning films, she worked with another Australian
Right.
woman producer with the same first name, and they used
man,
that
oh,
woman's
man.
picture. So this woman's sitting at home in Australia.
She's like, I'm not dead.
And she sees her own picture come up.
The no fact-checking epidemic is all over the place, man.
Yeah. Right.
That's crazy.
That is
The girl who's alive probably was like, yo, what the fuck?
and the girl who died was a friend of hers. So she was like
Yeah, that's
doubly.
a double whammy. Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
look, but if I would rather have people think I'm dead and still be alive than
Than the opposite.
than be dead,
Right.
and have people think I was still. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like I
right.
think I'd rather have it the way she got it.
But I mean,
Probably got a
look,
lot of phone calls. Are you dead?
yeah, no, exactly. Imagine you're that woman's like, daughter,
Yeah.
or something like that, and you've been mad at your mom for the past 2 years and haven't talked to her, and you thought you just found out. She
Is
died
that
through
the
Oscars.
backstory?
That is I'm making
No,
a whole
it's-
narrative for this thing.
It's true.
But I mean, there's look, we
narrative
make
just won the
technical mistakes here on this show every day, but we do a show every day. Like the Oscars, you had one job. Put the right picture with the right people, and you had months to prepare for it.
Right, but we also here at Collider want to send our deepest sympathies to the family of Ken Knapsack. He was a great guy. We miss him terribly.
In memoriam. All right, so with that out of the way, well, let's get into the real stuff. Ashley, what do we got?
Best Picture winner was La La Land. Haha, just kidding. It was Moonlight. Also nominated was Arrival, Fences, Hacksaw Ridge, Hell or High Water, Hidden Figures, La La Land, Lion, and Manchester by the Sea.
No, look, I've said it on the shows yesterday. I will say it again. Out of this batch, I thought Hacksaw Ridge was the best film of the year out of this batch. But I also think Moonlight was a better film than La La Land. In our pre-show, I predicted Moonlight would win. Not that I'm very good at predicting, because my card on last night would have looked pretty miserable.
Oh, don't worry, mine was worse.
But I did predict Moonlight, so at least I got that one right. Look, and we might as well blend this all into one discussion. It was an honest mistake. The accounting firm, Clearance Price House,
Price Waterhouse
and
Coopers.
Pimple Ass, whatever it is, they put out an explanation explaining what happened. There were 2 sets of cards on either side of the stage, and a mix-up occurred in the crossover. It was an innocent mistake. I felt worse. The guy I felt worse for wasn't even the La La Land producers. It was poor Warren Beatty.
Yeah, yeah.
Because for about 30 seconds, everybody in America thought he was the biggest old man idiot in the
Yeah.
world, that he messed this up. And as it turns out, it wasn't his fault. It wasn't.
No, he
the
didn't want to
cashier-
say it. He's like, this
He's like,
isn't
something,
right.
yeah, he knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
And then poor Faye Dunaway, because then he just shows her the card to show us something's wrong, and she thinks, oh, I'm going to play along, and she looks at the card and she sees the words La La Land. She says La La Land, and mayhem ensues. Anyway, as far as the winner goes, I'm glad Moonlight won. I'm happy for it. There's a lot of great films on this list. I think the right one won it, other than Hacksaw Ridge. But I want to ask Michael, you're sitting at home. You're watching the Oscars unfold. You see this thing start to happen, or you hear about this thing happening afterwards. What were your thoughts on it?
No, I was watching it. I mean, it was like my thoughts were like everybody else's. I didn't immediately blame Warren, except for as far as a joke. I could tell, once he explained that something was weird, but then like Emma Stone was like, I had the card, and it was sort of like you wait the whole night, and it's that night. It's 3.5 hours, man. And I usually never watch the whole thing. I usually watch a little bit, record, and then catch up. You wait 3.5 hours, and I was ready to shut it down. And then you're like, let me just finish it out because I've waited 3.5 hours and watched so many different categories that I don't think, not to be disrespectful, I don't think need to be jammed into this 3.5 hour show. It's like a marathon.
Yeah.
How long does it take to run a marathon? Like, well, what are the top 20 people they run a
They
marathon?
run it about a little over 2 hours.
A little bit over 2 hours.
Top
So
in the
this
world,
this
yeah.
is longer than an actual marathon.
This is almost 2
Yes,
marathons.
it is literally longer than a
Right.
marathon.
So if you're like one of those crazy 50-mile marathon people who would take 3.5 hours. So I was tripping out like everybody else. And I think it's the disservice is that Moonlight didn't get their shine, even though they won.
Yeah.
The whole thing, everything we're talking about the Oscars is about this controversy. They didn't get their moment to have their breath and their excitement. And then the La La people are the La La Land people are walking away going, what the hell? And it must have been a fun after party.
Let's drunk after
Yeah,
party.
I'm really glad you brought that up, dude, because it was this thing that hit me today. After everything subsides, you have a night to kind of marinate on it, and it really does hit you that everyone from Moonlight, the entire win is going to be overshadowed by this. It's going to be like, ooh,
And the
the whole
moment.
screw up, right?
Everybody gets
it
to thank you the Academy or
Right.
thanks my
No,
mom. They didn't get that. They were like,
hi,
is this
I
even
guess,
happening? Is
right.
this a bit?
Absolutely. And then you look at the side of the La La Land people, like you go into movies, you dream about winning an Oscar, and then you do, and your speech isn't even, it's null and void. It's like, well, I kind of gave a speech to my mom for like half a second, and then it just, it's not actually my win. I don't get that,
Homeboy from La La Land handled it as
Right.
good as anybody
Absolutely.
else.
He's like,
his
I'm gonna hand it
transition,
right
he
over,
should
right.
be in La La Land because his transition from producer to actor, he didn't skip a beat.
Right.
Well, that's why I
Absolutely.
thought all this stuff I saw on Twitter about the Oscars planned this. That would be the stupidest thing in the world for them to do because of the fact of everything, the way that they handled this entire production from start to finish.
Yeah.
To embarrass themselves at the end there.
Nah.
And like you said, with Moonlight, the way that they didn't get that moment, that's not the way you want to do that. Now, as far as what producers should be fired. Now, Warren Beatty, people blaming Warren Beatty and all that stuff. And Faye Dunaway just got the hell out of there and was chewing cashews in the back. She wanted nothing to do with any of it. You could see. But the two, you can't blame 80-year-old men. You blame the producers. What happened?
It wasn't
And Emma
80-year-old
Stone,
men. It could have happened. It could
It
have
could
happened to
happen to
Leonardo
anybody. That's
DiCaprio.
true,
It could have
right.
happened to
But,
Brad
you know,
Pitt.
you brought up
Anybody
the-
who was reading it, who had that card, it was going to happen.
Yes, and the
to.
one thing that you brought up though is that Emma Stone thing. I love Emma Stone, but she and I know that we're a little different on this. She annoyed me at the end there. Where she's like, "I've got the card. You don't think there are 2 cards? I print eight copies of the Schmodown questions. I'm sure that there's 2.
I'm surprised that there were 2 cards.
I'm
'Cause they
shocked that
seem
there's
like they're
2 cards.
vaults.
I might be one of those people that you're going to think is an idiot because I totally think this was staged. I do.
No,
think,
it wasn't
he thought you were an
I think-
idiot before the Oscars. So
Vin-
I mean,
he
it
thought
doesn't
I'm
matter.
an idiot for 8 years, but Vince McMahon did a great job producing the Oscars for the very
Why
first
would they
time.
do that?
Because they want ratings, they want people talking
And-
about it.
and
They
just
wanted to
discredit their
celebrate
show?
2 movies instead of 1.
No.
And
Too late
in
for
doing
the ratings.
so,
It was
think
too
about
late.
this. Just
They
think about this.
they
What
embarrassed
if-
the La La Land people.
What if it was a mix-up the other way? What if La La Land had actually won, but they announced Moonlight, and everybody up there from Moonlight gets up to them like,
That would've
oh
been
no, La La
crazy.
Land actually won. The world would explode.
Twitter
I
would've
think-
broke.
Yeah, I do think that somebody had a hand in doing this. I think
Nah.
there's some nefarious plots afoot.
They wouldn't be able to
Human error.
hold that together because if that ever comes out that somebody did that, you think the guy? It
You're
would make
ta-
no
we're all
sense.
talking about it
If it was
today.
the Golden Globes, I'd give you some merit there. But the Oscars doing this,
Nah, they
it
wouldn't do
discredits
that.
them. And it's not like their ratings were so bad.
The ratings were
last year.
good, and it was a good show.
Yeah.
It just was a score. The thing that was surprising to me is that when somebody, I guess there's a person checking because when they announced La La Land, how did someone else know that Moonlight was in an envelope? Who's that person?
The 2 accounting guys were the ones.
Those are the ones
knew.
who came
Yeah,
out?
Yeah, apparently
Yes.
they notified.
I am
somebody
shocked
and-
that Michael Rapaport, a New York Knicks fan, does not buy into a frozen envelope theory. That's how you got Ewing, and that's how Moonlight ended up beating La La Land.
Yeah,
And boy,
man.
I will say this: Jimmy Kimmel did a great
Yes, he
job
did.
as well because he was stuck with a lot of bits that could have gone really bad last night. Like the tourism thing could have gone bad, ended up being really funny. Last night's ending could have been so awkward. He handled it as well
He
as
kind
any
of threw
host
Warren
could have.
under the the bus, like, "Oh, you crazy old man."
What did you do? He goes, "What did you do?"
But I think
Warren?"
in the moment,
what are
he
you
did it
gonna
as
say?
great as anybody could have done, and I thought he was a very, very good host. I thought in general, for the show, they set it off with the levity of Justin Timberlake coming out there and kind of setting the tone. I was surprised that there was so much Trump stuff. I liked it, but I was surprised because I got the feeling that, like, from the Justin Timberlake, like, we're gonna all have a good time, and then they were still taking shots at the political shots. I was surprised, but in general, I think it was a good show. It's just too damn long, man.
Yeah,
3.5
I
hours
watched
of
it on
that shit.
DVR. It was great. It was an
There-
hour
there
and
is-
45 minutes from it.
There are two things I always thought. Like, look, they have that separate thing. We'll get into the other categories here in just a second. We'll probably fly through them, but they have that separate night. I believe it was Judd Apatow's wife. What's her name?
Leslie Mann.
Leslie
The
Mann
Sci-
and John Cho came
yeah.
out, where they have a separate event a few weeks earlier, where they honor a bunch of other
Right.
categories they don't want to take up Oscar time for. Look, I do not mean to disrespect anybody who works on short form documentary or short form live action at all. But let's be honest. 95% of the people who tune into the Oscars do not tune in to watch those categories. They should be honored, but I always thought categories like that, maybe a couple of others, could be moved out of the main show and into that secondary event where people still get honored, they get their Academy Awards. It would shorten the show. And as much as I loved the musical performances last night, Ali Lee, John Legend, Sting, as much as JT, as much as I love the musical performances, you took up more time on the category of Best Song than you did on Best Picture. There's something wrong with that. I think you should have one segment where you do a musical medley of all 5 nominated songs and then move on. I just think there's an easy 20 to 30 minutes that can simply be cut out of the Oscars.
Look, the
to
show
make it a
could be
shorter
6
show.
hours next year, and everybody's going to be watching till the end. Why? Because they faked it this year.
No, but they don't. You think that they're gonna do that? Anyone that thinks that would happen again?
Oh, it's not
is-
going to happen again.
Oh,
but-
it'll
Who's
never
gonna tune
happen
in
again.
for that? though?
Look, it ended up being a really
was a
memorable
low-rated.
Oscar moment. The Oscars is all about celebrating their history and these incredible moments that have happened.
They're not
years.
celebrating that anymore.
No.
You're not
They're
going to
not-
see
they're
that in the
gonna-
Where Are
They're
They
gonna
Now
show
clips.
that next year,
remember-
and they're going to have Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway present something next year.
That's for sure.
That's probably
That-
true.
that's for sure.
Probably
Yeah.
true. But I'll tell you that as far as the ratings thing goes, it was the lowest rated Oscars last in 10 years. If they tried
Last
to do
night
ratings,
was?
yeah, it didn't work.
Declining ratings. That's why you got to
No,
goose it.
last night, even with the thing, was
Then
10
what they
years.
would have
Didn't-
done, if they wanted to do something to fix their increased ratings, they would have pulled something like that right near the beginning of the show,
Right.
so everybody would then tune in
But
to
wasn't
watch
it
what was going on.
4%? Those 4% less than last
Oh
year.
yeah, it was
I mean,
small.
it's
It was small,
minuscule,
but
so-
I mean that had more to do, I think, with the fact that there were no, unlike previous years, like with films like Django, there were no legit box office hits
Right.
nominated, and that's fine. That's the way it went. No big deal. I personally loved the show last night, but let's move on to the Best Director category. What do we got, Ashley?
The winner was Damien Chazelle for La La Land. Also nominated was Denis Villeneuve, Arrival, Mel Gibson, Hacksaw Ridge, Kenneth Lonergan, Manchester by the Sea, and Barry Jenkins for Moonlight.
Look, La La Land was not in my top 3. Wasn't my top 10 of the year. Was not in my top 3. Again, going back to Hacksaw Ridge, I actually would have given, when you look at what happened and how that film was put together, I would have given Best Director to Mel Gibson, actually. But, I mean, look, no taking away from what Chazelle did with La La Land. That is I thought Hacksaw Ridge was the most impossible film to direct last year. Next to that would have probably been La La Land. When you really sit back and watch that film and how it's directed, it's insane. And when you direct, the number one job of the director is to bring the best performance out of your actors that you can. And your lead actor and your female actor, they both get nominated for Best Lead Actress and Best Lead Actor. And you put this type of film together, well deserved. I wouldn't have blinked an eye if Barry Jenkins had won for Moonlight at the same time. I would have been perfectly fine with that. But I'm good with Damien Chazelle getting Best Director. What about you?
Arrival was my favorite movie of last year, and I love what Denis Villeneuve did with that movie. But I think that out of all the people that were directed, I think Damien Chazelle deserved it. I think that from the choreography and everything just done from the vision alone of taking a musical that a lot of people don't want to see in the first place right now. Musicals are just not popular right now, and he made it a modern musical, and everybody was raving about this thing. It was a cinematic achievement. I'll be honest. Also, I didn't say the last thing. I think that about all the movies that were nominated for Best Picture, even though I would have liked to see Arrival, I think La La Land should have gotten it. But and I love Moonlight. I thought Moonlight was a very important movie, and I think that the direction for Barry was amazing in that movie, and in the amount of attention and the message that it had was important. I'm glad it got the light shine on it. But from what Chazelle did and how young he is, 32 years old, the youngest director to ever win it last night. Also, he deserved it. He got really great performances out of his actors and actresses, and I thought it was a good choice.
One fact I forgot to mention in the beginning, that by Moonlight actually winning, Moonlight becomes, when adjusted for inflation, Moonlight is the lowest budget film in Academy Award history to win Best Picture, with a one point something million dollar
It
budget.
was $1 million budget?
Yeah.
Man, oh man.
And it won Best Picture, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow,
Mark,
that's crazy.
What do you think about the Best Director category?
Yeah, like I thought we'd see a split between those two movies because I think that they deserve to be honored in the huge categories. So seeing Damien Chazelle get Best Director, I thought was very warranted because I've never wanted to direct anything in my life. It looks like one giant headache. And so you look at these 5 movies, which one of these is the toughest one to pull off well? I think it's La La Land. Just the way that he set up the shots, the way that the composition of everything that we saw, both from the musical numbers and in between those segments, he deserved to win this. But what a stacked category that was.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
it
you
was
got some
impressive.
heavy all-time hitters in there.
Jeremy.
Yeah, I agree with you on Hacksaw Ridge. I'm actually really surprised. I haven't seen Mel Gibson at the Oscars in about a decade. You know,
For good reason.
Yeah, right, for sure. So I'm actually surprised that he was nominated or even there in the first place. But this is one of those rare occasions where the winner of Best Director, his picture did not win. You know, this is one of those.
Not as rare as you might think.
Well, I think it's very rare, John. I'm sticking with that. But I also lost money because my betting pool, I got murdered on it last night. But if you look at La La Land, the thing that really sticks out for me in the directing is so many times I was like, that shot's still going. Like the shot, I'm looking for a cut, and I'm like, if there's a cut, it was completely blended. I don't know if there is a cut. This musical number might be one take. I don't know, and that always stands out when a director can do that. It's an impossible thing that I don't know. I can't quantify it. I don't know how they do it, but La La Land was a very well directed film.
Not a lot of people know this, but the entire film of La La Land was all shot in one take.
Love it.
Michael
Just like
Rapaport, what did you think about the directed thing?
I thought that that film was very well directed. Honestly, you know, the musicals, they're not for me. The one thing that I thought was funny, it was implied between Emma Stone, Ryan Gosling, and Chazelle that Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone improv'd all their scenes. If you caught that, so it's interesting, like, you know, getting their performance. And I've heard that Ryan Gosling is like an improv. That's his thing, which is cool. I mean, everything has to be sort of rehearsed improv. You can't just go in front of a camera and waste. Well, it's not film anymore, but gigabytes of time in rehearsing things. But I mean, I thought it was well deserved. I thought Moonlight was good. Hacksaw Ridge. I mean, they were all good. I mean, Hacksaw Ridge was definitely an undertaking. I thought Moonlight, the pacing was bold, and you know, some of those shots, that was the hands of a great director. So, you know, these awards, you know, it's like you can only give it to one, and time will tell what was the best directed film and what was the best film, because a lot of the, you know, people that came out with he won the award last year, she won the award last year, you haven't thought twice about them or their performance since last year. Time will tell. You know, what's the best film? What's the best, you know, record? You know what I mean? Like, everything's like an instant classic. You get the award. In 10 years, if you're talking about the film, then you see if it's truly great, in my opinion.
All right, what's our next category, Ashley?
Next category is Best Actress, and the winner was Emma Stone for La La Land. The nominees were Isabelle Huppert, Elle, Ruth Negga, Loving, Natalie Portman, Jackie, and Meryl Streep, Florence Foster Jenkins.
Yeah, I said in our pre-show that if Emma Stone does not win this Academy Award in this category this year, she will never win an Academy Award ever, because I don't think you could have turned. We talked about it in the pre-show, but honestly, that one scene in La La Land where she, as an actress, is playing an actress, going through those auditions and doing all those different roles. That was the moment for me where I went, yeah, because I'd seen Loving before that, and I thought, oh, this is going to be Ruth Negga's year. Ruth Negga's going to take the Academy Award. And then when it hit that scene in La La Land, I went, no, this is going to be Emma Stone's this year. I was perfectly thrilled with it. She was my pick to win it, and I was glad that she did. Michael Rapaport, what did you think about this category?
I thought she was good. I thought Meryl Streep, I thought she was going to win. It's not saying who I thought deserved to win. I thought that the Trump factor was going to get her to win, because I think, like, there's been so much attention on her. I thought they were going to go for her.
The overrated Meryl Streep.
Yeah, the overrated Meryl Streep.
It was a great running joke.
It was great, because she is so totally overrated and so underrated. I mean, Meryl Streep, you could say what you want. Like, it's all this sort of, Meryl Streep has been caught in this political thing. It's either you like Trump and hate Meryl Streep, or you don't like Trump and you respect Meryl Streep. But when you get down to the nuts and bolts of Meryl Streep, you can't compare her to anybody. She's not even comparable like Jordan is comparable. Like there's nobody that's even close as far as actresses that you could compare. And now she's got this thing where people think that she thinks she's holier than thou. Everything that anybody's heard about Meryl Streep is that she's the most down-to-earth, actress in the world. She's cool. Yep. She doesn't take herself seriously, and she's sort of in the crosshairs of this whole thing. But I think that. But I think it was a good category. I think that Emma Stone definitely was good, and it was. We'll see again. Like in 10 years, is that a performance that really sort of touches your soul? That's how I judge these things.
Right.
And I call it the Raging Bull factor. In 1980, Raging Bull lost to Ordinary People, and then at the end of the 80s, Raging Bull was nominated as the best film of the 80s. And De Niro won that year, but it's like the same thing in 90 with Goodfellas and Dances with Wolves. Dances with Wolves beat Goodfellas, and then at the end of the 90s, they said Goodfellas was the best film of the decade. So for me, I don't get so much into like, this is a classic, this is the best film I've ever saw. Like, I think you gotta sort of let something marinate.
Agreed, Jeremy.
Yeah, for sure. It's people are always in this very quick social media day and age. People always want to pin an instant classic here and now and today. The funny thing about talking Oscar wins and Oscar nominations is that you look at it, you're like, everyone who won by that much. There's never a stomp. Like everyone was talking about Natalie Portman and Jackie, and then people saw Jackie like, well, the movie, but she was really good in it. And then at a point, it swung over to Emma Stone. And I agree with you. Emma Stone was great.
And Isabella Huppert, there was some momentum building there. Some people thought she might actually upset Emma Stone last night.
Right. Yeah. It's one of these things where it's like, that's why I can roll a 6-sided dice, and that's how I'm going to vote in our pool next time. Is I'm just going to roll a dice and be like, what?
No, I have a question.
I have an answer.
No, I have a thing about foreign performances. I don't think foreign performances should be in the American categories. Just like best foreign film is best foreign film. I just think it's distorted to give a foreign actor performance best actor, best supporting actor, actress, so forth, so on, in the same category. I think it's distorted.
But isn't it like an overall body, like the entire film community? Isn't it? It's not just the American awards though,
But here's the debate I had with a friend of mine. Not what was really a discussion is that if an actor or actress, and by the way, we're not saying that foreign films aren't every bit as good as American. We're not saying that at all. But the discussion we had once is, if a movie is being done in a foreign language, foreign to American judges, and you don't even know that native language, can you, as a judge, really evaluate how good that performance was if you don't even know the language? So that's not the performance problem. That's the judge's problem.
That's why I think it should be separate.
Yeah, so I wonder if there might be some merit to that. But anyway, you saw this categories playing out. Emma Stone wins. What did you think?
I think we should just make the awards 6 hours then, and just have like best foreign actress performance, best foreign supporting actress. I thought Emma Stone deserved to win. I would have been happy with either Ruth Negga or Natalie Portman, because I thought she was fantastic as Jackie. And to the Meryl Streep point, with Meryl Streep, I didn't see Florence Foster Jenkins, but it's almost a situation where you worry about whether we're taking her greatness for granted. Like when they gave the MVP to Karl Malone instead of Jordan, because they were just sick of giving it to Jordan. If you want to use an athletic comparison, I think Meryl Streep is like Tiger Woods in his first 10 years, where he didn't necessarily win every major, but he was right there in almost all the majors. So when Meryl Streep is in a movie, she's going to be competing for an Oscar. Even if she doesn't win it, she's going to the ceremony.
I was late to the Florence Foster Jenkins party. I saw that movie very late, like after it.
It wasn't a great party.
No, it was not a great party. But I can tell you, she was stupid good.
She was.
In that,
even
like,
the clip
she was
that they
incredible.
showed, even the clip that they showed, because when they were showing all, and I was watching with my wife, and she's like, "Oh, are they just nominated?" And we watched that clip. It's like, no, look how good she is. It's just the little things that she does. It's like you were saying before, that there is no other Meryl Streep.
Nobody was talking shit or questioning Meryl Streep until Donald Trump with his bullshit. Not one person had a problem with her attitude or how good she was. This motherfucker came out talking shit, and now everybody's questioning her.
It didn't help her though when she the only thing I took offense
was
with
the
her
MMA and the NFL thing. I
the-
get that, but she's going off the cuff too. That's what I'm saying. She's not perfect. She doesn't. Meryl Streep's reputation, just so you know, people that I know have worked with her, she's like, she's cool as shit. She's not like, and not to say that he's not cool as shit, but you know how Daniel Day-Lewis stays in character and he has this Meryl Streep's apparently like the coolest, like dope actress ever. Like she doesn't take herself seriously. She laughs at herself, and she's not like this hoity-toity thing. And none of this was an issue until this Donald Trump shit. I don't understand how she's become this sort of polarizing political figure now. Yeah, she fucked up on the MMA, NFL thing, but she's up there riffing and talking.
Yeah, she's a human being.
She's a human being.
People say shit.
All right, what's our next category?
Next category is for Best Actor, and the winner was Casey Affleck for Manchester by the Sea. The nominees were Andrew Garfield for Hacksaw Ridge, Ryan Gosling for La La Land, Viggo Mortensen for Captain Fantastic, and Denzel Washington for Fences.
Well, you saw. What did you think?
I guess I'm in the minority from all the size here. I loved that Casey Affleck won. I thought it was going to be between him and Denzel, and I would have been okay if Denzel won. But I thought Casey Affleck that is for best acting, and that is the best performance that guy has ever done. He was locked in. That movie. I don't care what you think about the overall movie in general, but Casey Affleck did exactly what he was supposed to do in that role. He got the type of emotions. I understood everything about that character from the interpretation that Casey Affleck gave us. I thought it was well deserved. I thought he was great, and I don't, like you were saying before, I don't know if he'll ever put in another performance. That was a performance of his career, hands down.
I mean, when I saw Manchester by the Sea, I walked out and I was like, that's going to win the Best Actor Oscar. And then when I saw Fences, I was like, oh, we got a game on our hands here. And this is what bugs me about the Academy Awards and why I get so competitive about them. I don't want to, because if Denzel Washington had not won for Glory or hadn't won for Training Day, he wins last night. He would have won last night because they do this Lifetime Achievement stuff. I think Denzel Washington clearly would have won last night if he didn't have awards already on his shelf. So sometimes you favorite people who necessarily didn't give the best performance, but they earned it in a body of work. And sometimes you penalize people for already having statues on their shelves.
Al Pacino.
I thought Denzel would have won it. Yeah, Al Pacino.
When they gave it to him. Scorsese. Yeah. When they finally gave him Best Director. What was it for?
Departed, wasn't it?
Aviator.
Departed.
No, Departed.
Departed.
Was it Departed?
Yeah, I thought he deserved it for that. He did a great job.
Yeah, but
with that.
what about there's like we could just like
Goodfellas and everything
5 or
else,
6
right?
that you could be like he deserved it, that.
Oh, yeah.
But
I mean-
Al Pacino to me is the biggest sort of like person. They were like, we're making up for 25 years of like iconic performances. And when they gave it to him for the Blind movie,
Scent of a Woman. Yeah.
Scent of the Woman, that's Al Pacino's best actor film.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes that's the case, but not all the time. I mean, there's been tons of great actors over the year with bodies of work that have never won an Oscar, and by that
Never been
rationale,
nominated.
So with that rationale, they could have just given him an award. I don't think that's the case at all. I think that it was probably, if you look at the ballots, it was probably really close between Denzel and Casey Affleck.
I totally agree. My prediction was Casey Affleck was going to win because Denzel is veering towards this Meryl Streep thing, where Denzel can pretty much get nominated for everything he does.
Yeah.
I think he's the only actor who can take a mediocre script and make it extremely compelling. No other actor would have even been considered to get nominated for a movie like Training Day, which is a pop culture dramatic film. But he could have got nominated for what was the one in Brazil?
Man on Fire.
Man on
He
Fire,
could have got
yeah.
nominated for that. He could have got nominated for, what was it, John Q?
He could have got. What was the one on the
That's
train?
right.
Was it John Q?
Yeah,
Unstoppable.
Yeah, he could have got nominated for Unstoppable, as far as
He
I'm
could not have
concerned.
gotten nominated for Virtuosity. That's where I draw the line
Right.
with Denzel.
But I mean, he's
Russell
literally
Crowe.
that good in every single thing he does, and he was incredible in Fences, and he's again one of the only actors where, like, I found myself in Fences going like, and there's so many good actors in it. Forget even Viola Davis, but the other people were all great, and it's so well written. But you just can't take your eyes off of Denzel. That being said, I felt the same way when I saw the Casey Affleck performance. I was like, he's winning the Oscar. It was just his year, because I think again Denzel is like at that Meryl Streep point where like every year he's going to be nominated. I think going forward, anytime it's like a non-pop culture film, Denzel's going to get nominated.
And by the way, before we get to Jeremy on that, I'm so glad you brought up Training Day, because it reminded me there is a new TV show on called Training Day, which only highlights the fact that the day, I think it was the day before the Oscars, or was it yesterday morning? The news broke yesterday morning that one of the great character actors who so quietly went about being in some of the biggest movies of all time, giving us some of the funniest moments in movie history and some of the more memorable characters, Bill Paxton passed away, which I was just crushed to hear. You guys know my all-time favorite action film is True Lies.
great
and
role,
Bill
too.
Paxton in True Lies, man. I just smile thinking about him, but it was really horrible. And I had a feeling it was probably too late in the game for them to get him into the in memoriam. So I thought it was really at the Oscars. So I thought it was really classy that they had Jennifer Aniston come out and actually mention him by name right off the top. I thought that was really good. But before we move on with our Oscar stuff, let me just ask you, Kristian, favorite Bill Paxton role?
Oh man, I mean it's hard not to say Aliens, but I want to go with Chet. I mean Chet was from
it's
Weird
so
Science,
good.
so he did so much from Big Love. There's so many different things that Bill Paxton did. He added just so much. It was one of those things when it kind of took the breath out of me yesterday when I read it in the morning, because when there are when you hear about certain celebrity deaths, it's like, oh, it's sad. Carrie Fisher was one that did that to me. Obviously Robin Williams, and then Bill Paxton was another one, and then hearing just anytime you hear, very similar to what you were saying with Meryl Streep before about how every time you hear someone had worked with her, they have nothing to say but nice things. I know a lot of people that have worked with Bill Paxton.
Do you see James Cameron's
I
thing
have
that he wrote out
never
about him? Yeah.
heard a single negative thing except how wonderful of a man this guy was. I never had the pleasure of interviewing and working with him, but that's all I heard. Michael, did you ever work with him?
I never worked with him, but I met him a few times. Nice, just what you would imagine, just very friendly. And I think, like his performance, Chet, his performance in Alien, he created a thing that people sort of bit. That sort of, I'm freaking out, man. Like, I never saw anybody do that. I'm freaking out, like that crazy energy. Like, what the hell's going on here, man? Like, and that's a thing and a style and a performance that has been duplicated and sort of referenced by other actors.
Yeah.
And as he got older, he got away from that. But when he was young, he had that kinetic sort of crazy energy. But again, all I knew of him was a good dude, it's just a sad thing because he just was a good, great actor and everything that you hear and from what I know, just great person.
And he was so versatile, too. I mean, you watch something like the big blockbusters he was in, then you check out a movie like Frailty, and you're like, this guy can do a lot of different things. I always said if I had a Mount Rushmore of all-time movie villains, it would be the Wicked Witch of the West, the Shark from Jaws, Darth Vader, and Chet from Weird Science. I think that's a great looking monument.
You have said that before.
And I think Bill Paxton might be the only guy in history. Didn't he defeat like an alien, a Terminator, and a Predator?
I believe he's the only actor in history to be killed by an alien, a Terminator, and a Predator.
That's a pretty good thing to have on your resume.
That's the trifecta.
But I would go
right
True
there.
Lies. You're looking for your favorite Bill Paxton performance as Carlos the Jackal in True Lies. Hysterical. He stole the movie from Tom Arnold, who stole the movie from Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Danny Dick. It's pathetic.
I totally agree with you guys on that. And to your point where he had an energy about him, he was like in Aliens. He was always on. Like he was the guy. You remember when he's freaking out, and then Ripley tells him like, "This girl got through this with no training whatsoever," and you think the conversation's over.
That scene is. People have. I've done that, like, and just playing around like that, and I don't even realize where it's coming from. You're like, that's Bill Paxton,
right? And then you think it's done, and he's like, "Why didn't you put her in charge?" And it's like the greatest response to logic you could ever think of. But I agree with you; those two performances right there are the best.
And that's the actor doing that.
Yeah,
that's not the writing.
Yeah.
That's not the directing. That's his interpretation of the performance in Aliens. Like that's like an original sort of like that's his thing.
Yeah, that his "Game Over, Man" line was ad-libbed. Like, he was just like just freak out. So it was "Game Over, Man."
That energy, it's like it's you could assimilate it to De Niro's like early Mean Street thing where he brought that sort of bada bing thing to the screen. Bill Paxton brought that crazy sort of wacky sort of energy to he was the first person I saw do it.
Nice.
Now, whether you're talking about films like, like Tombstone, where you're talking about Apollo 13.
Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow was his most recent film, I believe.
One of them.
Or with The Frailty. He was the dude in Titanic.
Yeah.
He was the dude, Twister, the all-time classic. I mean, he's really going to be missed. Hey, listen, guys, just to let you know right up top here, we do have to cut our show a little bit short today. We're going to end at 10:45, so another 15 minutes from now, because we actually have one of the actors from The Walking Dead coming in, so we got to have our stage ready ready to go. So we're going to try to fly through these next few categories.
It took me 45 minutes to get out here, and you're going to cut this. This is a 45-minute drive. You didn't tell me I wouldn't have rushed out here to come
Well,
out
it's
here
only
for this shit.
5 minutes short.
I
It's
don't
only
know,
5
man.
minutes, Michael. All right, Ashley, what's next?
The next category is Best Supporting Actress, and the winner was Viola Davis for Fences. The nominees were Naomi Harris for Moonlight, Nicole Kidman, Lion, Octavia Spencer, Hidden Figures, and Michelle Williams, Manchester by the Sea.
I thought this was the single most stacked category of the year, although most people seem to think it was also a lock that Viola Davis was. My only criticism about Viola Davis winning was that she should have been in the Best Lead Actress category, but she wasn't. She was in this category, so fine. If that's the case, she deserved to win. Anybody? Kristian, what about you?
I think that she was. I thought it was a lock, and we had this conversation last week. I actually think I understand why she was Best Supporting. I know I'm in the minority there, but I thought she was great, and I thought she was a lock. But I thought everybody else that was deserved to be nominated. But yeah, I knew she was going to win.
Yeah, I mean, Viola versus Emma would have been a pretty good Best Lead Actress battle, but seeing her win the Best Supporting Actress, I thought was totally deserved. Naomi Harris, to me, did such an amazing job in Moonlight as well. Would not have been complaining if she won, but I think Viola had so much more to do with her character and so much more screen time, to be fair to her, that she deserved that trophy.
Jeremy.
Yeah, it's a close race, but this is one of those cases where you can see the trailer and you're like, someone's winning something for that movie. It's just that simple. Someone's winning something. So hey, I'm glad she is. She is still the greatest pick for Amanda Waller in Suicide Squad they could have ever gotten. She's a great
Oscar-winning
actress.
Suicide Squad.
Oscar-winning Suicide Squad, by the way. Michael.
I agree. I mean, Viola was great. I thought that Michelle Williams' performance was chilling.
Yeah.
Chilling. Just that one scene. I mean, her performance was small. You know, it wasn't as much screen time, but that one scene with her and Casey Affleck, I couldn't imagine doing that as an actor, doing it over and over and over. I bet you they only shot 2-3 takes of it, because just to have to go there was impressive. They were all good. I think that the Best Supporting Actor and Best Supporting Actress categories in general are the least sort of politically motivated categories, in terms of they're not going to give you a supporting actor for body of work. I believe Martin Landau, was he supporting actor? Mm-hmm. I think that's sort of done that. But for the most part, I think it's really like these people all deserve it. Whoever wins, it's like fair ground.
And both Naomi Harris was wonderful. Nicole Kidman was incredible. Octavia Spencer was incredible. It was a stack category, but we all think the right person ended up winning that. All right, what's next, Ashley?
Best Supporting Actor, the winner was Mahershala Ali for Moonlight. The nominees were Jeff Bridges, Hell or High Water, Lucas Hedges for Manchester by the Sea, Dev Patel, Lion, and Michael Shannon for Nocturnal Animals.
One of the dark horse picks that I had last night was actually Dev Patel. I thought Dev Patel might surprise a lot of people, even though he's probably ended up being 3rd or 4th on the voting list. I thought maybe there's a chance Jeff Bridges might stick in there. He was so good, but who's going to complain about Ali winning that? His performance was incredible.
His
it was
speech was incredible.
His speech was between
awesome.
him and Viola Davis. I'm not sure whose speech I liked the most.
I loved his speech, man. I thought it was so classy and such a great way to start it off. I thought every speech should do that. It's like you start off, you tell a story how about you got there, you thank the people that helped you get there, you thank your loved one, and then you're out. I thought it was so classy the way he just hit and ran, and he's great. This dude's a star.
Michael.
I thought he's great. I thought his speech was great. His performance was great. I was surprised because the screen time between him and the other kids who played Chiron, especially the one in the middle, the sort of adolescent.
Yeah.
You know, I thought he would get nominated, but that whole cast, all four of those actors were great. But his performance was great. You know, and I think he is a star. I think he's got a great career. He's very versatile because he could be very nefarious and also have a real sweet vulnerability. He's an excellent actor.
Jeremy.
Yeah, he's one of those guys where, I mean, when you say he's a star, absolutely. 2016 hit, and you're like, this dude seemingly came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
He's been around, but
Yeah.
this dude in 2016 is like,
It's
I'm
his year.
here.
Yep.
And shit's
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
I'm getting something for it. He did. Dude's a great actor. We're going to see him for decades to come.
Yeah, I loved what he said in his speech about how this could be any number of people from Moonlight could be standing up here right now, and that's how the night ended up, which I thought was a nice way to bookend the show. To go back to Christian's point, that's the way to kick off a show, man. You had Justin Timberlake's opening number.
Yeah.
That was the first award given. He gave a great speech, and we were off to a rolling start at the Oscars.
All right, what's next?
Next up is Best Original Screenplay, and the winner was Manchester by the Sea, Kenneth Lonergan. The nominees were Hell or High Water, La La Land, The Lobster, and 20th Century Woman.
Out of any of the ones that I might actually have a problem with, and we all have one or two categories, this is the one I had a problem with. I thought Hell or High Water should have won this award. I thought the script of Manchester by the Sea to me was a film. It was a very good film, but it was completely carried by stellar performances. I think underneath those performances was a good script and it was a good story, but I thought Hell or High Water honestly really should have won that one. A lot of people were picking La La Land, which I did not think the script was the strength of that film either, but Manchester by the Sea takes it.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you know, I don't know the answer, I'm asking the question. Do you know that if the people who give this award are reading the script or going off the finished product?
Well, I know the initial, like the screenwriters branch of the Academy are the ones who put together the nominee list. So I'm sure they probably read the script because they're more hardcore. But then the Academy as a whole votes, once the screenwriting branch puts forward the nominees, the entire Academy votes on it. So I'm sure the vast majority of them were basing that off just what played out on
I
screen
can
as opposed to
guarantee
reading
you
the script.
6,000 Academy members ain't reading
Right.
that script.
Yeah.
I
But
bet some of them do. I bet some of them really put the effort into actually reading the script and seeing from page to screen. But
Right.
I bet the vast majority of them see the movie.
Because I think that factors into best screenplay, whether it's adapted or not, what's on the page as opposed to what's up there. Because there could be crap movies, garbage movies. The end result with a fantastic script.
Oh, we've seen
if you
that
read
happen
it.
before.
But I'm saying, look, the crap movies don't get nominated, but the crap movies don't get nominated, but the script could be something that
Let me remind you,
is
the
Oscar
Academy
caliber.
Award-winning Suicide Squad.
Oh.
Well, it had nothing to do with the script. Though. It had nothing to do with the script. Jeremy.
This is one where you look at the categories in here, and I do see. I'm like, Hell or High Water was a pretty clever one. What were some of the other nominees? Just
The
because-
Lobster, La La Land, and 20th Century Women.
Yeah, it's one of these things where I feel like everyone here is more versed in every one of the films than myself. But I do see what you're saying about that. You're like, reading the script is a different thing than the finished product of what the director and the actors put forth. Where does the ad-libbing come in? Where does it not?
Or the editing. Because the thing if you
Yeah.
take Manchester by the Sea, and I believe, I'm not sure, that in the editing process, they sort of did the jumping around.
Yeah.
But if that was written like that, then that's really, really, really changes the whole thing in terms of this award.
Yeah,
Do you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? In
yeah.
terms of like if you read something or you see something, it's a big difference. Because a lot of times, like I said, I've been in movies with beautiful scripts. It turned out to be garbage.
Yeah, out of the two that should have won, I actually had either Hell or High Water or Manchester by the Sea because I think that it's, I think, yeah, obviously, and I just talked and raved about Casey Affleck and what the performance has brought to it, but it's those words on the page. It's the fact of where that Lonergan had to take Affleck and Michelle Williams, who I agree with you. That scene alone when they meet up, that's the scene you're talking about, right? It killed me. And that's the as much as the lines in there, you need the actors and you need performance, you need Michelle Williams to get that and pull herself to get to that place, and Affleck the same way. But it was Lonergan to put from start to finish of what this dude was all about to make Affleck go, okay, yeah, I get it. That's what I need to do. That's the way I need to interpret it because of what Lonergan did. I thought it was a great script. I thought it was great from what they put on page. I would have been okay with Hell or High Water because I agree with you, John. It was that one, same thing. It was what Jeff Bridges brought to that particular role, but the way that it was put to page, that particular character was amazing. But I'm okay with Manchester by the Sea winning that.
Yeah, neither script felt the need to show off or to ruin what they had building. They built a slow, creeping momentum. But I also think that The Lobster should be recognized as such an original screenplay. I mean, it's the best original screenplay. That was maybe the most original out of any of these things that somebody could read in a given year. But I agree with Kristian. I can't argue with Manchester by the Sea. It was fantastic writing by Lonergan. That guy knows how to reach into your heart, rip it out, and show it to you before you die.
Yeah.
All right, just skipping you through a couple of really quick things. Best adapted screenplay, I think the correct one won. Moonlight won. It was against a rival. Fences, Hidden Figures, and Lion. And of course, the movie that should have won Best Picture, Hidden Fences, that was brought up last night. I said, no, my biggest pet peeve of the evening, Zootopia should not have won Best Animated Film. Moana should have won Best Original or Best Animated Film.
Get into your
That
nerd
vote should
shit.
have.
I want to ask you guys about your
like
nerd
it.
shit because the Oscars isn't for the nerds, the sci-fi.
Zootopia, I thought, deserved it. Yeah, I like Zootopia. I like Moana a lot. But
Zootopia proved how far a good DMV joke can take
It's
you.
true.
Because that sloth thing was so funny.
yeah,
You can watch
I
that
like
30
Zootopia.
times and die laughing each and every time. I still think Kubo and the Two Strings should have won.
So that's, there's the Amazon. Look, guys, there's a whole bunch of other categories. We don't have time to get to them because we want to make sure we keep some time. For those of you who are watching us live, we know you got some questions for us. Fire in some questions. Make sure you're following us on Twitter @Collider Video. Wendy's been over there collecting up some questions. So, Wendy, what are people asking in the Twitter board?
The first one comes from John, who writes, due to ABC's only allowing the Oscars to stream in limited markets, I couldn't watch. Could this impact low ratings?
Well, what limited markets are? Where is this? Where are you watching from? Like the Tales from the Underground? What do you mean limited markets? The fucking Oscars. If you can't find the Oscars, you not like. What do you got? Like a TV with
the rabbit ears?
You
And
have
even
a
then, you
great
should have been able to
internet
get it.
because we even had some streaming issues at the beginning of our broadcast last night because we were streaming it, so it would like cut out at really weird moments. It was like Jimmy Kimmel got robbed of 3 monologue jokes by our TV because like he was about to deliver the punchline and then it cut out. So
Unless you mean by
talking about
limited
the
markets, because I think it was available everywhere in the United States.
Yeah, what limited markets is this guy talking about?
If you're in the country of Chad and couldn't get it, maybe there were some like international rights that they couldn't do. But if that's what you mean by limited markets, but I don't think there was anywhere in the U.S. that was like blacked out or anything.
If you can't figure out how to watch the Oscars, there's something wrong with you and your program.
Wendy, can you read the question again?
Yeah.
Was it about the Oscars or
Yeah,
the
Wendy,
movies?
this is like a,
No,
like
it
a
was
best
the
picture
ceremony
situation.
itself.
Ceremony?
It was about the ceremony. It was about the
Yeah.
ceremony.
Yeah, it was
I got
about the
nothing
ceremony.
I got nothing for the ceremony. I thought if you're talking about the movies and the limited markets the movies may have come out on, you have a point. But if it is about the ceremony, then yeah, I got nothing. You could watch it anywhere.
All right, what's next?
Next one comes from Tyler, who writes, if they were to add a new category to the Oscars, what do you think it should be? I think they need one for best stunt performances.
Best nerd shit.
I've always disagreed with the best stunt one because I think it's just too limited the number of films that would have significant enough stunt work that would warrant a category. You know, you can make the same argument for animated, but I never thought they should have a separate animated category. I think the Academy Award they need is casting. I think casting needs to be an Academy
have
Award.
one?
But that's tough though, because who are you casting? Who are you offering parts to? Who's the director saying I want this person? Who's the casting director actually reading and finding? Like Moonlight, that was casting. But like Manchester by the Sea, they talked about it. You know, Matt Damon, and then he said Casey Affleck. Does that just discredit the casting? But there are casting awards.
Yeah.
Right, it's not the Academy.
Right.
No,
the Academy.
but I think and I say the nerd shit, but I think for films that are sci-fi,
Genre. I agree.
there should be
Yeah.
I think there should be a best picture for that because they're so
Best
important.
nerd shit category. That's the name of the category. It's right
No,
on
I
the
think he's
trophy.
right though. I think
What
that
would
I
you
always
call
thought
it?
comedy-
Sci-fi film
That's
or
genre. I mean, you can do genre film.
But then you got to have a genre for horror.
Subgenre.
You have to have a
Fantasy. I
genre-
mean, yeah.
But then you have an argument. It's like, okay, Arrival is maybe that has elements of sci-fi, so that's clearly going to win the best nerd shit category. But does it also get to play? Like, if you have a great animated movie like Moana, maybe that could have gotten nominated for the best movie of the year as well. So
Right.
can Arrival win best nerd shit movie and then also be a best picture nominee? I mean, I think that you don't need to add a new category. Just start actually legitimately trying to consider comedic performances for acting. There is no excuse for Eddie Murphy not winning Best Actor for The Nutty Professor. He did like 98 different characters. He was hysterical in every one of them. I don't know who won in 96. It should have been Eddie Murphy.
I agree.
All right, what's next?
Okay, this one comes from Star Wars Explained, who writes, what did you think of Jungle Book winning visual effects over Rogue One?
If there was any
Yeah.
category, look, we're Star Wars fanatics up here, no doubt, but there's no way in hell any other movie other than Jungle Book should have won Best Visual Effects.
That should have been the big lock.
Yeah, no, that was the luck
Yeah.
because there has never been a better use of visual effects in the history of Hollywood. That was the greatest achievement in visual effects ever in Hollywood. There are still people today who do not realize that that movie was shot entirely on a green screen in Los Angeles. Now, people still think they took the cameras out and got the landscapes with cameras and then did some visual effects. That movie's all visual effects. There's one live action person, and that's the kid. Everything else you see, the trees, the vines, the grass, the water, everything, what they did in that movie was astonishing. Well, I'm a big Star Wars nerd. There's no way Star Wars deserved to win over it. The right film won. What
Well,
do you
I think
guys
Rogue One could have won Best Nerd Movie, Best Nerd Shit Visual Effects category.
Mike, did you have a feeling about
I'm going to keep it real. My kids got older. I don't fuck with animated films anymore. I told you the first time I came on, I don't fuck with Star Wars.
Power Rangers.
I don't fuck with Power Rangers. I don't fuck with any of that shit. Logan, did Logan come out?
God,
It comes out this Thursday.
I'm gonna see Logan just
You're
because of
gonna
you
love
guys.
Logan.
I'm gonna go see Logan.
I would bet you $50 you'll love it.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I
go
think
see
so,
Logan,
too.
and I'm gonna
Yeah.
give you my full review. And it's not that I don't like them or look down on them. Like, just I don't go to the movies as much as I used to. But as far as animated, when my kids were younger, I watched Finding Nemo so much that for the rest of a lifetime, I don't need to go see an animated film ever again.
Did you see Finding Dory?
I didn't see Finding Dory, and I'm glad, and I'm sure it was great, but I'm glad I didn't have to go.
fuck with Dory.
I don't fuck with Dory.
Right.
All right, let's take one last question of the day.
All right, this one comes from Life is Art, who writes, would James McAvoy have been nominated for Split if it came out in time?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think he was awesome in that movie.
He was great in that movie, but here's the problem. He still would have been nominated against, where is it? He would have been nominated against Casey Affleck, so he wasn't going to bump out Casey Affleck. Andrew Garfield for Hacksaw Ridge, he wasn't going to knock out Andrew Garfield for Hacksaw Ridge. Viggo Mortensen in Captain Fantastic was amazing. He wasn't going to knock him out. He wasn't going to knock out Denzel Washington for Fences. The only one that maybe he might have bumped out for one of those 5 nomination spots was Ryan Gosling for La La Land.
No
but it was
way.
such a huge La La Land year that I don't see that happening either. So even if let's say a Split came out in 2016 and qualified for this year's Oscars, I still don't think he gets in because it was just too stacked. Any of you guys disagree? No.
Genre film. I think it would have been the same way. Like it's considered a genre film. I don't think it's looked at the same way.
Well, it's not like it came out in January, so it's not allowed to compete for this year's Oscars. It's just we're gonna have a really lame year to have, and it's not a detriment to his performance at all. But January movies do not even get looked at twice. I would at least like to see them consider Split for its acting because McAvoy was amazing in that
There's
movie.
going to be an online petition next November.
Well, look. If the Oscars if the nominations for the next Oscars were to come out today, I would say McAvoy would be on that list. I think he would be on it. But will he be on that list come the end of December? That's another question. All right, guys, we've run out of time for today's Movie Talk. Thanks so much for joining us. We went longer than I said we would.
Damn.
Anyway, I want to thank the people sitting at the table with me. First of all, our special guest. Always awesome to have Michael Rapaport. Michael, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having
Where
me.
can people find you and follow you
I'm
online?
always at Michael Rapaport everything, and the I Am Rapaport Stereo podcast. Worldwide phenomenal.
Jeremy Johns, where can people find you?
No round of applause. Okay. You can find me at Jeremy Jahns on YouTube and Twitter. Rest of the internet, you can find my show Awesome Tacular on the Verizon Go 90 network. We do some fun stuff there. Get your nerd on. Nerd shit. That's what we got going on there.
Mark Ellis, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Ellis.
Thank you. Please.
Where can people find
Take
you
your
online?
seats, everybody. This Wednesday, 7 p.m., the Schmoes Know Live show. This weekend, I'll be at the Comedy Store in L.A. And in a couple weeks, I'll be at the Funny Bone in Columbus. You can get tickets at markellislive.com.
The indomitable Kristian Harloff.
Yeah, there you go. So I'll do it for myself. You can find me, Kristian Harloff, Twitter and Instagram. We have IGN versus Nerdist tomorrow. Big team schmodown. The movie trivia schmodown goes tomorrow, and then Friday is JTE versus Clark Wolf.
Over there, we've got Ashley Mova.
Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, at Ashley Mova. Happy Monday, guys.
And, of course, Wendy Lee.
Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat at Wendy Lee Zaney, and I'm also going to be calling locksmith so I can unlock my office door
Yeah.
to let my dogs out.
I told you not to lock your office door.
Well,
anyway,
people
and of
stop
course,
going into my office and grabbing inappropriate things from
That's
there.
inappropriate.
And
whoa,
What you
back
got
up.
there,
maybe people
girl?
should leave my office alone.
I don't know who goes in your office. All right. And finally, you can follow me on Facebook and on Twitter simply at John Campea. Thanks, everyone behind the scenes, and thanks to all you guys for watching us. We'll be back again tomorrow. And until next time, bye-bye.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.